If you happen to pick up a newspaper these days, you'll probably find a growing sense of despair regarding climate change and environmental degradation. But there's been an astounding effort from countless communities to cull the rising tide of environmentally irresponsible actions. And among this surge of modern nature-related groups and philosophies lies the promising ideas of permaculture, which, when unpacked, provides us with a solid toolkit for not only tackling the difficult environmental challenges ahead, but also for thriving in a transformed world. Permaculture, a term coined by Australians Bill Mollison and David Holmgren in their 1978 book Permaculture 1, was originally a contraction of permanent and agriculture, but has since blossomed into a more inclusive combination of permanent and culture. As Mollison readily admits, permaculture is nebulous.
It's a little difficult to define what the permaculture community is.
But those two words, permanent and culture, hit at the philosophy behind permaculture in the sense that it gives people a set of tools to rethink and redesign their communities so that they can live seamlessly with the natural world. And by working with rather than against nature in order to grow food, for example, permaculture bolsters not only the health of the land, but also its practitioners. In doing so, the concepts and practices of permaculture build communities that are adaptable to a changing climate. Jono Niger sums up these ideas in his book Permaculture Promise, wherein he writes, "Permaculture is about rebuilding much-needed relationships with people, land, and the systems that support us. Through these relationships and a positive approach to change, permaculture seeks to build resilient cultures and communities. At the core of permaculture teaching lies three ethics: earth care, people care, and fair share. While earth care and people care at their simplest forms are the concerted efforts to nurture natural environments and surrounding communities in your everyday actions, fair share is a bit less self-explanatory. The concept of fair share is essentially the synthesis of earth and people care, and acknowledges that there is one earth that we all need to live on. So surplus, whether that's food, money, or time, should be shared with those who are otherwise languishing or be returned back to the earth. These three ethics ultimately intertwine to create an effective moral base on which permaculture practitioners can build and transform their local systems. They are essentially guideposts for tangible change. In practice, permaculture can take a variety of shapes. For instance, Jordan Osmond over at Happen Films toured Purple Pear Farm, an excellent example of permaculture at work, wherein each natural system feeds off each other, thus creating both abundant food for the farmer and a healthier ecosystem. But permaculture can also mean projects like City Repair in Portland, which applies permaculture principles to artistic and ecologically minded projects that help reinvigorate local community relationships and the natural world. Now more than ever, permaculture is important because it brings to the table tangible and ethically based solutions for systemic change. It moves beyond sustainability and into resilience, looking towards not only surviving, but thriving in a quickly changing natural world. Starting at a local and personal level, the concepts of permaculture work to wean people off an industrialized and consumption-centric worldview, and replace that materialistic perspective with a new outlook that emphasizes ethical interactions with nature and a community-oriented lifestyle. Ultimately, this new worldview brings us closer to appreciating the source of our sustenance and our desire for interpersonal connection. And if we can rekindle this understanding that we need thriving natural systems to live, as Derek Jensen said so perfectly at the beginning of this video, we will then defend those natural systems to the death. This video was made possible in part by the wonderful people who support me on Patreon. If you're interested in helping me grow this channel, head on over to Patreon and pledge a small amount of money for every video I release. In return, I'll send you gifts like a handwritten thank you note or an Our Changing Climate sticker. As always, if you like what you just saw, share it around and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next Friday.